My name is Howard Brown. I live at 230 Lantern Lane East. I'm speaking as Executive Director of Rhode Island Coalition for Israel tonight. Although we support the North Kingstown parents against indoctrination, I want to speak about the goals of the school department. This letter was sent to each of you today. Dear North Kingstown School Committee members, the agenda of your October 26, 21 meeting today includes the approval of school committee district goals. This includes the following: create an ethnic studies course and or graduation requirement. I need to speak to this because you're about to address these goals tonight. I'm writing with concern about the creation of an ethnic studies course. While on the surface, the study of various ethnicities sounds benign, in fact, the field of ethnic studies is driven by radical, oppressor ideology. The divisiveness of that ideology is all the more of concern to many in the community because, in practice, it encompasses a strong anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic component. The fierce controversy that has ensued in California, often the source of trends that are adopted nationally, should be a red flag. The same controversy is now surfacing in our backyard in Massachusetts. In the current environment, ethnic studies should be approached with caution, if not postponed. Should the adoption of an ethnic studies course nevertheless be pursued, then Rhode Island Coalition for Israel urges that our organization be represented as a stakeholder in the process from day one. Thank you for your consideration. Luann Pizzulo, Chair, K-12 Education Committee. The same letter was sent prior to the South School Committee previous meeting, which was adjourned prematurely. No response has been received. While not rightly recognized as such in critical race theory circles, the lived experience of the Jews is centuries of oppression and are currently suffering one of the worst outbreaks of Jew hatred in American history, with defacement, arson in synagogues, Jews being attacked in the streets in New York and Los Angeles. The lack of a response from either the school committee or the DEI subcommittee suggests a lack of true diversity, equity, and inclusion within the NK educational leadership itself. We would ask you to demonstrate otherwise. There's other commentary on what happened in California with the adoption of ethnic studies. The organization, a national coalition against anti-Semitism called Amcha Initiative, said, while certainly not all in the ethnic studies field fall into this category, there is a vocal and active faction of extremists who have long been seeking to inject their anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist agenda into our nation's classrooms. Making matters significantly worse, California's teachers' unions and public universities' ethnic studies departments proudly support those overt anti-Semitic curricula. The Los Angeles Times wrote, California schools and school districts will now become entangled in a volatile political divide over critical race theory and the extent to which it is incorporated in the state's ethnic studies curriculum. School boards must hold public hearings on the courses they plan to offer. Critical race theory is rarely mentioned in the teaching guide, but critic Williamson M. Evers said the overall model curriculum is permeated with content that makes it racially divisive, burdened by fetish ideology. According to Evers, a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Education, and some other opponents, the problematic issues include a reliance on the concepts of critical race theory, leading to a portrayal of American culture and institutions through a racially divisive prism of oppressor and victim. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have the school committee approval of the district goals. If I could get a motion to approve. A motion from Mr. Mather, second from Ms. Lima. Any discussion? One thing I'd like to mention is there was a comment from Mr. Brown this evening that I definitely will take into consideration with respect to his comments as to a studies course. It's definitely something to think about and consider, and I mean, that's not something that we have approved or even discussed, but to the extent if that does come onto a future agenda or discussion moves forward with a course like that, I definitely would want to reach out and make sure that his concerns are taken into account. So we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.